Before I start, I just want to let everybody know that for the month of June, 20% of the revenue that I will be earning will be donated to the Trevor Project. We'll also be fundraising more money for the Trevor Project later in the month, doing some live streams here on the main channel. We're doing it currently on my gaming channel, linked in the description, Build Chill Gaming. So if you want to contribute, there's links below. If you aren't able to donate, watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, leaving a comment, all those algorithmic things for the YouTube nonsense, that also helps. And yeah, and don't forget, as always, speaking of the Trevor Project, there is a link in the description to a card that was needed resources for social awareness and education, mental health and crisis lines, and Trevor Project resources should you or someone you know need them. The Owl House Season 2 has concluded, and now we find ourselves with 3 45-minute specials to wrap everything up. I guess I'll do my best to be grateful for scraps over nothing in memory of Infinity Train. I'll be taking the time to just break down Season 2 to the best of my ability, ponder what's ahead in the upcoming episodes, and reflect on the Owl House stories so far. Hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, check the settings, blah 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 YouTube words. Season 2 ends with a big celebration with cake, as the Day of Unity, TEA, turned out to be a surprise party for Hunter. Hooty became a portal between realms, proving the Hooty Hole theory true. Go check that out if you haven't. Alright, so if you didn't know that was a complete lie, spoilers for those who aren't caught up through Season 2 of The Owl House, created by Dana Terrace on the channel. Now that we've covered spoilers, a quick recap for what happened in Season 2 of The Owl House. After destroying the only portal home so Belos can't use it, Luz Noceda finds herself with no way back to her mom in Connecticut. Ida and Lilith have reconnected and share in the Owl Curse and the pain between them as they learn to adjust to life without magic. King grapples with the idea of Luz leaving and starts wondering who he is outside of Ida and Luz, should he be without them. Luz joins a pirate crew to help keep the family afloat financially. She meets the scary bad boy Golden Guard and begins to teach Ida glyph magic since she no longer has access to traditional magic due to the Owl Curse. Hooty and Lilith become besties. Meanwhile, Amity's parents use their resources at Blight Industries to create weapons to sell as security, just to be forced into an exclusive contract with the Emperor's Coven. Luz and Amity begin acknowledging their feelings for each other, and Lilith develops glyph combos TM. King's backstory contradicts the history Lilith has studied, and they go to the mysterious island where he was found by Ida in search of answers, stumbling on a mystery of who King might actually be. Ida admits that she indulged his fantasies to make him feel better. Brilliantly, everyone is kind of right and wrong. King is indeed special, but there is no such thing as a king of demons. Ida and Lilith's mother drops by to cure the Owl Curse, ignoring the possibility she's been scammed and not caring to understand or listen to the feelings and experiences of her daughters. She then learns to listen to and embrace reality, acknowledging the feelings and experiences of her daughters. Gus questions his passion for illusions, experimenting with glyph magic, and is tricked by some rude kids into finding the illusionist graveyard. He also connects with Maddie, which is nice. Luz and Amity discover Philip's journal is at the library, and Amity is so shocked by the revelation her hair changes color, sharing a lovely little Luzity kiss. Palisman Adoption Day returns to Heck's side and brings a reality check for Luz. What is her plan? What does she want? Despite her uncertainty regarding her future preventing a connection with the Palisman, she saves the remaining critters from being taken by the evil Golden Guard for the Emperor. Luckily, the best good boy Hunter saves the day as we learn there's more to his story than we've seen. Hunter even gets a Palisman and must keep it secret from Belos for very obvious reasons. Fearing she's losing King and Luz, Ida joins her ex Rain Whispers in the fight against Emperor Belos. After learning her Owl Curse can corrupt spells, we get one of the most beautiful animations to have ever animated. Rain is willing to go the sacrifice yourself route with Ida until they learn Ida has kids to care for. Rain gets captured, and Ida learns King wants to both search for his father and be an official Clawthorn. Hooty helps King discover a new power, inadvertently helps Ida speak to the Owl Curse and set aside their differences, and Hooty launches the Lumity ship in the perfect episode. Rada fans are built up and broken down. Amity learns results on a mission does not equate to value or affection as she searches for Titan's blood for Luz. Hunter ignores his lack of healthy affection and manages to steal the portal key for Unky Belos after a breathtaking fight that had no business being so tense and epic as hell. Luz makes a kind of functional portal that allows her to briefly see her mom and creepy Luz, who turns out is a basilisk named V, taking the form of Luz, seeking shelter in the human realm. Luz saves V from a witch hunter, and her mother, albeit frantically with no context, makes Luz promise to never return to the Boiling Isles should she find a way home. I also have a video about that. Please check it out in the Owl House playlist below. 7 agonizing months later of trauma. Luz struggles to tell Amity what happened when she saw her mom. Ida confronts a brainwashed Rain, who can't seem to hurt Ida. Luz realizes Kikimora can't have it all. Rada fans are once again built up and broken down. Lilith and Luz find a way to visit Philip Wittebane, the author of the journal, in the past. They teach him the light glyph he doesn't know, and cool Aunt Lilith educates good old Phil not to mess with the Bad Girls Coven, leaving him with his collection of weird plates. And it turns out Philip is Emperor Belos. This will not traumatize or upset anybody later. Abomination Coven head Darius questions if Hunter is worthy of the title Golden Guard, so Hunter goes to Hexside looking for recruits. We see the importance of letting kids play sports as Hunter learns of the power of friendship, not to mention what a positive role model is. The Azura author theories are all laid to rest in one go. Luz is reminded she has a wonderful support system in her owl family and her awesome girlfriend as she processing the anniversary of her father's death away from her mother for the first time. Amity connects with her boundaries, her GF, and her father. In an attempt to help Luz feel better, Ida tells her how she met Rain Whispers, and we learn that they are not, in fact, brainwashed actually. Yay! They are hesitant to move forward with some sort of plan to stop the coming Day of Unity because it would put Ida at risk. Rada fans are once again built up and broken down. Luz and Hunter accidentally enter Emperor Belos' mind and learn many dark truths about his rise to power and the origins of the Coven system. Also, we are all now 99.9% sure Belos killed his brother Caleb, who looks a lot like Hunter. By the way, Hunter is indeed a Grimwalker, and no, he is not the first one. Owl House knife fight. Realizing it will keep Luz, King, and Hootie safe from the nearing Day of Unity, Ida and Lilith let the trio search for answers to King's past on the other side of the world, where a group of Titan trappers realize King is indeed the baby Titan they've been seeking that can restore their leader, the Collector, to power. Much like Emperor Belos / Philip, they too collect weird plates. The Owl House is seized by the Emperor's Coven while they're gone. It's fine. On the run from Emperor Belos, Hunter hides at Hexside and is discovered by Gus and Willow as Gus overpowers everyone, including himself, with his overwhelming abilities. Principal Bump and the students join together to defend the school against the Emperor's Coven, and Huntlow fans are given hope. Luz, King, and Hootie find where Ida and Lilith are hiding after losing the Owl House to the Emperor's Coven. Ida and Luz spend their last good day going on a heist and getting in a fight over whether or not to send Luz away for the Day of Unity. Lilith is offered a referral for therapy finally, all culminating in the Owl family joining the Cats, led by head witches Rain, Darius, and Everwolf. Luz then begins to carve her palisman with Ida. Luz's palisman turns out to be an egg. Luz wants to wait for it to shape their own identity, which is lovely, and I'm not even mad at the fact that I don't know what the palisman is still. Luz then heads off with Gus, Willow, and Hunter to save Amity from Blight Manor. One beautiful kiss scene later, Amity's parents break up over the involvement in the Day of Unity. The Day of Unity arrives. Ida's disguised as Rain, sigil and all, to disrupt the draining spell with her curse. Rain keeps their promise to protect Ida and rips her arm off, seemingly saving Ida from the draining spell. Belos betrays the Collector, going back on their pinky swear, and Luz fights Belos, sealing him up real tight. King makes a deal with the Collector, agreeing to revive them and play everyone's favorite game, the Owl House, together, should the Collector use their god-tier Tinder swipe to save the Boiling Isles. Belos gets turned into sentient goop. The Collector begins to terraform the Boiling Isles, demanding King keep his promise to play a new game. King sends a tear-stained Luz through the breaking portal with Amity, Gus, Willow, and Hunter to the human world. Separated from everyone else and with no idea what became of anyone or anything after the Day of Unity, the group arrives at Luz's house, greeted by Camila. I'm back. Beloscoop slams the dead portal door, and the names of all the people who have hurt me play over the screen. As I've said before in previous Owl House videos, playlist in the description with my Hootie Hole Theory video, the Owl House does a stellar job at tackling a wide variety of topics and themes, different flavors of trauma, positive and tragic childhoods, as well as adulthood, a wide array of relationships, romantic and platonic, different family structures, as well as a diverse cast and characters. Whether it gives me an insight into somebody else's experience or helps me reflect on my own, I love every minute of it. The standout recurring theme felt consistently through both seasons is this balance between fantasy and reality, dating all the way back to the pilot, establishing and somehow grounding this magic-based fantasy world of witches in reality. After leaving the Emperor's Coven, Lilith rediscovers her love of history, just to learn over the course of Season 2 that most of what she knew was altered or fabricated to fit the narrative of the savior rhetoric Belos used to lie his way to power. In eerily effective parallel on its own, it shapes the foundation of the next layer the Owl House Season 2 exposes for us, the audience. Now that the world of the Boiling Isles has has established realities within his fantasy, the next layer is the lies our characters tell themselves and each other. Luce, who already got a fantasy versus reality lesson throughout season 1, which gets sealed perfectly as she gets to live the fantasy of dressing like a witch, realistically, by wearing Ida's Letterman jacket, Luce's latest obstacle is her desire to have the best of both worlds TM. And as seen with Kikimora, juggling family and a career can be difficult even when they're all in the same world. Yes, Camila doesn't have information about the demon realm when she begs Luce never to return to it, but the reality that not everyone would be as thrilled at the dangers of her magical journey is something Luce can't ignore despite her many attempts throughout these episodes. She must prepare for uncertainty and confrontation, not only if it's possible, but the reality of having no control over everyone else's feelings and level of acceptance. Primarily her mother, seen next in the Palisman, and eventually all the way even to Ida and King. Ida realizing she's in over her head, getting a kid involved in so much conflict. Her reality of Luce being in danger is challenged by this fantasy she tells herself that sending Luce away would have protected her from the Day of Unity. On paper, sure, it seems sensible, but let's say Luce did agree to leave. She would have had nowhere to go and nobody left to help her after the draining spell, especially when the Emperor's Coven seized the Owl House itself, and certainly after the Collector changed reality to suit the game they want to play with King. Obviously, we won't know for sure until we learn what they did exactly to the Boiling Isles, but I think it's safe to assume Luce would have been in just as much danger no matter where she was. Ida's logic certainly was sound at the time, but in practice, also not very realistic. Luce ending up in the human realm at the end of King's Tide, the season 2 finale, challenges the initial concept of weirdos needing to stick together, not only in the dialogue, but with the reality that it isn't always what everyone wants or believes is best. Season 2 starts with separate tides, the two realms being divided for Luce after she chooses to destroy the portal, trapping herself in the Boiling Isles for the greater good. Luce was almost always making the decisions regarding the portal until this point, when King made the decision. She never realized that someone might actually push her through the portal home, even the person who insisted they never wanted to leave. King's arc throughout this season directly embodies this concept of fantasy versus reality, as his fantasies were both proven and disproven over season 2. Reality coming in to break down and rebuild his image of his past and lineage. Surprisingly enough, he was living the fantasy that was the most accurate. He believed he was a ruler of demons, a king, not too far off from the reveal that he is actually a baby titan. Not only will his skeleton one day be large enough to house its own continent, but people still praise the titan's name like some sort of deity. However, when reality of his potential power sinks in, his ideals shift. Now he sees the responsibility behind that great power, TM. Would he even want to be the benevolent ruler he always dreamed of if given the actual chance? This changing King is literally mirrored by the Collector, who is presented as a childlike being with immense power they have yet to take into serious consideration. A version of King who still wants armies and loyal subjects and minions. The Collector just wants to play, with no consideration of the well-being of others. This is all a game to them, at least so far. The Collector recklessly believed Philip would keep his pinky promise and free them after the Day of Unity, and being hit with betrayal creates a huge turning point in the story as we know it. Ignoring the red flags, convincing himself Belos is his friend, the Collector taught him complex magic and anxiously counted the days until they were free, convinced they will get to play new games with his buddy. Ultimately, he is freed by King, who, like Belos, promises to play a new game with him and release him should they help him stop the Day of Unity. The Collector agrees, and King must play Owl House with him, already fresh off of a betrayal from the now recently destroyed Belos. Kinda. Good old Belos. Belos. Philip, right? He insisted on being called Philip, so Philip created such a twisted fantasy, he himself started to believe it as reflected in Hollow Mind. The initial paintings we see Luce and Hunter speculate over show divine purpose and victory in the past, present, and future. However, the deeper and further in we go, the more reality showed itself. From the true origins of the Covens and the crusade-like takeover of the Boiling Isles, to the tragic, still somewhat cryptic history of, presumably, his brother Caleb. Buried further in his mind are portraits telling a tragic story of two humans venturing into the Boiling Isles, ending in a deadly duel of sorts. This is not only the reality beneath the fantasy he tells the masses, and also himself, this is also what he tells his, nephew, Hunter. the current and hopefully last Grimwalker-made Golden Guard. At first glance, we are given the impression of a new antagonist and threat to the Owl House team, the Golden Guard. He's revealed to be a teenager who is actually a lot like Luce and not naturally connected to magic, a student of Belos wanting to do right by the person he sees as his protector and mentor. He believes the lies given to him that their family was destroyed by wild magic, which might technically be kind of true if Caleb ran off with a witch, but the full warped story is what compels Hunter to obey his uncle. Hunter must come to grips with this painful reality and demonstrates for us, the audience, very well how difficult that can be. This isn't a fantasy he told himself, but one he has believed his whole life and believed unconditionally. He's left to untangle this fantasy from reality. Even when the truth stares him in the eye, Hunter still grapples with re-examining everything he has believed his whole life. The direct lies of not only how magic in the world works, but also the indirect lies of what are healthy, reasonable ways to be treated. The list of applicable scenarios one could connect to Hunter's journey is tragically long, and I am not a mental health professional, so please remember there are resources in the description. Hunter consistently puts himself down, calling himself half a witch. This is a reflection in what we see with Gus and Willow, leading to their connection at Hexside. Gus questioning his judgment after being lied to and used by his peers, and Willow's perseverance still being viewed as weak after struggling in the wrong classes for so long. She too wrongfully defines herself as half a witch. It's not even established if being half a witch is a thing one could biologically be, but for the sake of this discussion, it does not matter. It's something that we've convinced ourselves to be true by being put down by ourselves or our peers for so long. When we first see Willow, she believes herself to be inept, half a witch Willow, as the reality gets lost there that she's just in the wrong classes to grow her interests and talents. Even if she was a late bloomer as previously described in flashbacks in season 1, Willow shines brightest once she embraces her passion for plant magic and proves herself, and eventually to others, to be a powerful witch. Willow fell behind, exhausting her efforts in classes she doesn't want to take as Gus was pushed forward several grades and finds himself out of his depth interacting with older students. I love the inverse parallels between Gus and Willow that lead them to be so similar. Like Willow, Gus is an extremely gifted student. Unlike Willow, he was placed in the track he excels in, illusions, which leads him to move ahead a few grades, which is great for his studies, but puts him at a disadvantage socially with his peers. His project partner used him to get an easy A, and Gus has even found himself being used again when leading students to the Looking Glass ruins. Gus begins warping his reality and fantasy together, an established pattern of being lied to be wary of, feeding into this fear of being tricked again. This does prove to be something he's capable of identifying at times, calling out the fake sigil illusions, yet he still struggles to identify when to be on guard. While Willow trusts herself and still struggles to be taken seriously, Gus was used for his intelligence as a tool, and he began to doubt himself and his instincts. Despite this, Gus and Willow learn to move through these issues together through support and breathing exercises, a skill they pass to Hunter, who uses it himself as he reconciles his own identity, creating this healthy cycle being born within so much toxicity, a break in the chain for all of them. However, this is not an easy fix solved in a 22-minute episode, and I appreciate that. Hunter still struggles with the connection he feels between himself and Belos, despite what he's learned of his lineage. Gus struggles with his instincts and must learn when to keep his guard up while also being open to letting the right people in. Willow continues to forge her new path and doesn't back down when Amity subconsciously still sees the old Willow, eventually putting in the work to mend their friendship without dismissing their history that was severed by Amity's parents. Amity's parents. Oh, Baby Blight. Oh, Mittens. The witch blocked by parental controls. Amity has come a long way already and is now reconciling her complacency with her parents and determined to push forward to the point where she openly defies them in nearly every episode she's in of season 2. The top student of Hexside, destined for the best Coven track, now rejects the Coven system openly. Breaking the walkie-talkie necklace and escaping expulsion was somehow only the tip of the iceberg, the beginning of Amity claiming her independence. She dyes her hair, signs up for Fight Club, chooses who she wants to associate with, and even lets her heart guide her to Luce. Their relationship in and of itself an opportunity for Amity to continue to break the Blight cycle. Fantasy. Awesome girlfriends deliver results on missions. Reality. You are already an awesome girlfriend doing her best to help. I adore the fact that Amity's growth doesn't stop after becoming Luce's awesome girlfriend. Amity overcoming her fear of losing Luce's affection should she fail to recover Titan's blood at Eclipse Lake, paved the way for her confidence when standing up to her parents and establishing boundaries with her father as he attempts to reconcile, inverting what happened between Ida and her own father. Early into the Owl Curse, Ida's light sensitivity was unknowingly triggered by her dad, and she attacked him during an episode. If there's a better word for this, please let me know in the comments, and I apologize in advance. This event led to Ida's father suffering what appears to be nerve damage from claw marks, limiting his ability to carve palisman. While he has no resentment for his daughter and seems to be at peace with what happened, Ida learns to stop running and begin to forgive herself after pushing away her family like she did her ex, Rain Whispers. Ida and Rain at some point went from childhood friends to dating. We can surmise from what little we've seen that Ida kept information about her curse from Rain, and the Coven system only added to the divide growing in their relationship. The reality Ida denies herself is that Rain has already seen her transform, in a sense, way back when they first met, laughing at her skeleton face prank, which obviously is not the same as the curse. There's a lot to explore there, and I don't feel equipped to fully dive into the Owl Curse, but I consider this to still be an indicator that Rain would have supported Ida with what she was going through. A very needed specific for myself, because I'm incredibly biased about Rain Whispers because they are simply the best. Nevertheless, Rain has seen Ida transform before. Perfect as they are, however, Rain cannot be excluded from this discussion. They are driven to keep Ida away from danger throughout season 2, so much so that they trick Ida and us, the audience, into believing that they are suddenly Team Belos despite their involvement in the Bats, and we, the audience, believe them to be brainwashed. I'm still honestly surprised the plan to stop the Day of Unity stayed on using Ida to corrupt the draining spell with her curse, but I think that is the consequence of Rain trying to keep Ida far away. With no time to think of a new plan once everyone unites to form the Cats, Rain must move forward with the plan to involve Ida and their fears come true. They did keep their promise to Luce and protect Ida in the end, which might have been the plan all along, and I have to believe this did something good despite the uncertain fate of everyone in the Demon Realm at the conclusion of the season. Season 2 of the Owl House as a whole carved a deeper connection with existing characters and found easy ways to connect to new ones as well before tearing up the fabric of reality in the final moments. Despite the new format, moving quickly to the Day of Unity still fits when taking in the chaos of life, the challenge of working on yourself, and the pace of time being everyone's common enemy. Elevating the characters, digging deeper into the lore and mystery of this expansive world set me up to feel comfortable and attached, just to throw me completely off balance and into a pit of uncertainty. The rug wasn't pulled out from under us, the ground was. Yes, this is traditionally done at the end of a second act, in a 3-act structure narrative. However, I can't help but feel that we, the audience, were also meant to be challenged to face fantasy and reality, to get so invested in the story just to be left dangling in so much unknown. No added dialogue or information the characters don't have for the audience's sake. The only thing we really get is Belos Goop slamming a door, which does not tell me much other than, oh no. The entire Owl House crew and cast have established themselves as excellent storytellers both visually in their performances and through the writing. Why leave us in this place of pain and uncertainty? Is it so we can all feel the same as our characters moving into these final episodes? Personally, I can say it's effective. I'm not even sure we're going to get enough time for Luce and Amity to have their first real date in the human world. My priorities have shifted thanks to the limited time ahead and the amount that was taken from us at the end of season 2. As much as I would love a positive feeling after some mysterious Avengers-style post-credit scene, I think there's something brilliant in this limbo we were placed in. Our fantasy story has given us yet another dose of reality. This is in some ways what I wanted. Kinda. Luce made it home, the Day of Unity was stopped, this wasn't how I pictured it, and nothing went as planned. Such is life. I've talked about this before in my previous Owl House videos, how the Day of Unity keeps drawing closer, and we start touching on the idea of one last good day or the calm before a storm. Both the characters and the audience know that this Day of Unity is approaching, and inevitably is going to have some kind of impact. And sometimes we try to just make the most of things like Ida wanted to do for Luce, and we can take time to plan things out like Rain and the Cats, or reflect on what's going on and where we're at like Stephen King did. While it's certainly always possible I'm overthinking things, this season really does a great job at helping me see how we as individuals evolve and change over time. The show feels so different when revisiting season 1, especially with Luce keeping the all too important portal door cracked open so she can get Wi-Fi connection. The Owl House's literally empty now, if it even still exists at all. Our home base, our foundation, where we start at the beginning of most of these episodes, that's gone now. The most familiar setting has been ripped away from us. Yes, Luce has returned home to her mother, but we don't know that house very well. We haven't even spent that much time in our own human world. I would even argue that there are changes Luce won't be prepared for in the months she's been away. In a lot of ways, we're more like Amity, Gus, Willow, and Hunter, very out of our element and out of sorts. Because of all this, it's really challenging to look ahead at the rest of the Owl House. Nothing is as it was, and when you factor in the element of magic, anything could happen. Luce could be invited to play Owl House with King and the Collector like a letter, like it's Smash Brothers or something. Everyone could just be forced into some sort of massive pie eating contest. So with that in mind, there are a couple of predictions that I have. The Hootie Hole theory. Obviously, Belos Goop is going to take over somebody like a symbiote, like Venom. Probably Hunter, maybe that Witch Hunter dude. V the Basilisk storing magic might be a way to power up or find a new portal. I want to see Camila get to know Amity, and I really hope that Amity gets a chance to reassure her that Luce wasn't alone on the anniversary of her father's passing. That training wand, the rest of Belos' backstory could be found via information from the human world. King and the Collector could be playing Hex's Hold'em and make it look like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll keep Luce's Palisman reveal on my list, but I don't even know if I want that now because I love the message and the metaphor enough as it is. How did you get me to want that less? It can stay an egg. I just wrote giraffes equal portal ? I don't know how to turn that into a sentence. Giraffes were demons that were banished to our world. Maybe giraffes are the key to getting back. Maybe they find a way back via that weird GameCube in-between space, or we find the legendary Yitu, the talking tube shaped like an owl, and reveals the secrets of Hootie's origin. Season 2 The Owl House overall was an amazing expansion of the characters, the world, the lore, leading to this ultimate destruction of anything we considered normal or comfortable by the end of it. The void of information we have creates this limitless possibility to move forward with into these final episodes. It leaves us on the edge of our seats with a top shelf cliffhanger. Not only is our main trio separated, but the entire world we've come to love and explore is possibly in shambles, altered in every way at the hands of an all-powerful, mysterious being with the mind of a child. I genuinely look forward to seeing if King and the Collector can figure out what to do with their untold powers, and if there's a way to return to the Boiling Isles, not to mention anything I can't even begin to fathom, like the ending of Season 2, as they continue to layer reality into this incredible fantasy. But yeah, that was my breakdown overall of The Owl House Season 2. Like I said in the video, I'll be doing some live streams in June as we fundraise for the Trevor Project, one that will be more dedicated to The Owl House, and then later in the month, one that's just a general hangout. We'll see where the conversations go. Thank you to everyone who's been watching the episodes along with me or going back and watching them as you catch up or rewatching them. Follow me on Twitter and check the community tabs and stuff for information on the live streams this June as we raise money for the Trevor Project. I love seeing everybody throwing around theories and being kind and supportive of me and my content, as well as definitely to each other. So thank you guys for that. I'm sorry my content's been all over the place lately. It's just been a lot of stuff going on in June of 2022. I look forward to doing other shows, getting back into music, as well as continuing to talk about the Owl House in the future. And yeah, link in the description if you want to donate ahead of the stream to the Trevor Project. 20% of my revenue in June is being donated as well, so if you're unable to donate directly, watch some videos, get other people to watch, all that good stuff. I hope people like this video. I tend to do videos without my face when I have a lot of stuff going on, so I hope people still like this format. Feedback would be appreciated. Let me know. Hope to see you next time I upload or go live. Be safe, be mindful of others, wear a mask if you choose to go out, and remember to take care of yourselves, please.